Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories here, and we've finally reached a time in Riverdale where literally half of the fandom is extremely worried and the other half can't be more excited. And that's all simply due to the possibility of BARCHIE becoming a thing. Betty and Archie finally becoming a thing. Jughead has had its time to shine, but especially recently, BARCHIE has had its flame lit, and it looks more likely to happen than it has ever happened before. And since Jughead's death story was wrapped up, everything has been talking about Betty and Archie finally getting together, leaving all those Jughead fans very upset. But don't worry, because they literally have their real life Jughead with Lily Reinhardt and Cole Sprouse together in real life. So the big question is really not about the next mystery Jughead trying to solve. Nope, it's all about who is Betty going to choose. And she's going to have to hurry, as the end of the season is very close to approaching. But before we look further into this idea, make sure that you click that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified whenever we make a brand new Riverdale video. Okay, so let's have a look back at when all these possibilities started to arise. And of course, since everyone watching, and basically the entire town of Riverdale know Jughead is so strong, the chances of it happening seemed very slim. So, how were the writers going to give Betty an actual believable chance that Betty could get together with Archie? Well, very simple. Kill the other half of Jughead off. Now, of course, they didn't actually kill Jughead, but that was Betty and Jughead's plan to get back at Stonewall Prep, to pretend that Jughead had actually died. To make this even more believable, however, they had to go one step further by rekindling the possibility of Jughead's girlfriend and supposed killer to kiss Jughead's best friend. This of course created a good enough distraction, and it made it very believable that Jughead was dead. I mean, Jughead even says in the Locked Room episode that the biggest misdirect of all was Betty and Archie being together. That's what made it the most obvious that Jughead was dead, as Betty had supposedly moved on. But then, that was the thing that got this whole conversation started. When Betty and Archie kissed, was the kiss too believable? In fact, once everything had finally been cleared up, Cheryl had a conversation with Betty saying, "I don't know, cousin, it seemed pretty real." Now, Betty denies it, saying that this was all part of the act, but when she says this, Betty hesitates and looks quite suspicious. In the end, Cheryl leaves, saying, "Your secret's safe with me," and when she leaves, Jughead asks Betty what they were talking about, but Betty just ignores the question and says nothing. Then, later of course, we get to see text conversations between Betty and Archie after their kiss. There's some definite flirting going on here. However, it's in this text conversation where we truly see who's more willing out of Betty and Archie to take a stand and finally maybe make Betty and Archie a thing. Now, Betty begins the conversation with, "Thanks again for your help. I hope I wasn't a bad kisser." Now, this could easily just be Betty thanking Archie and laughing around. However, we see her literally waiting tensely for Archie's response on her bed. This further points to the fact that Betty wants Archie to say something, even if she can't admit to Cheryl and the others that she likes him. Now, Archie seems to have similar intentions. We know his relationship with Veronica isn't always the best, with her father around, so we see what Archie was about to say. He types, "Lol, you were great, happy to do that anytime." And then, of course, he realizes what he's saying and knows that may be way too far, so he gets rid of "happy to do that anytime" and just leaves it with "lol, you were great." This shows Betty is more willing and brave enough to actually go through with this, as she started the conversation and isn't afraid to text Archie privately, whereas Archie seems to be hesitating as he's deleting all the unsafe text messages. This could be maybe to protect himself, just in case something goes wrong. After all, Archie hasn't exactly had the safest ride with the Lodges, and Jughead for that matter. If this was to be found out that maybe Archie likes Betty, he might not want to ruin his chances with Veronica. However, this willingness from Betty is further shown when she sends a kissing emoji with Night to show again her true intention. Then we come to our most recent musical episode, and this episode gives us a chance to show us on purposely how the perfect relationship the show has been giving us for the past few seasons isn't always so perfect. This is apparent in both relationships in the gang, however, not as much so with Archie and Veronica. When Alice is filming the documentary, she films Veronica. Veronica says in the documentary, when Alice asks her whether she was afraid something might spark, she says, "I trust Archie and I trust Betty. To be honest, the thought never crossed my mind." And in this musical episode, we see Veronica and Archie argue because of her dad again. However, they easily make up. But maybe this shows again how Archie is less willing to break up with Veronica, as their relationship always comes down to the Lodge family and Hiram Lodge. If Archie was going to break up with Veronica, let's just say the Lodgers may be onto him. He's already been messed up with them lots before, and he won't want to do that again. However, in this episode, we get to see a lot of how Betty and Jughead's relationship has began to distance ever since Jughead has been away at Stonewall. Both characters have changed considerably since they first got together, and this is especially shown in this episode. Their fight is driven from the fact that Betty wants Jughead to study so he graduates, but Jughead wants to find out the mysteries of the tapes. Now, if this was, let's say, season 2, Betty and Jughead together would be working on this mystery and solving this case, not really caring about much else like they did with, let's say, the Black Hood. However, Betty has changed considerably since those days. Her attitude towards mysteries and real life has taken over her thoughts, and she's definitely not the same mystery uncoverer she used to be. This is because of all the dark pathways the mysteries have led her down. I mean, her cousin was killed, and then her dad was the Black Hood, her enemy who pretended to be her brother was the Gargoyle King, her family were abducted by the farm, and then her boyfriend was almost killed. These have thoroughly changed the way she acts around these sort of situations, because the Betty who fought Jason Blossom in Season 1 would not have acted the same way as the Betty who fought Stonewall Prep in Season 4. She's become darker, but at the same time more aware of real life and the fact she wants to succeed out of Riverdale. I mean, throughout all of Season 4, she's been persuading Jughead to always keep being motivated in writing and not to give up. However, Jughead is the complete opposite now. He's found even more of a thrill with mysteries and loves to find them at every turn. The mysteries he's dealt with haven't had as such as a long-lasting effect on him as they have done with Betty. Plus, being at Stonewall probably discouraged his excitement in writing. That's why when he finally returns, he's straight away onto the next mystery, whereas Betty definitely isn't and wants to focus on the work and real life. This further shows the fact that Betty is more willing to take the risks of dumping Jughead as their relationship has got even further apart. She's fed up with the mysteries, she still likes them occasionally, but Jughead is literally obsessed with them. They're not the same people who they were back in Season 1 when they first got together. So then we get to the final part, the song Origin of Love, where Betty and Archie come after their fights and just laugh with each other. This makes sense, they've both matured a lot more, and I'd say they are getting closer than ever in what they want to achieve. The willingness is also shown again when Betty asking if they can still rehearse without Veronica and Jughead. In the song, they get closer and closer till Betty reaches out for a kiss. Later on, they sing Wicked Little Town and fantasize about what if they were together. This is proof and a big reason why Betty and Archie will get together later on in the season. And the finale of Season 4 is coming to a close very soon, as it's been cut off short because of the global pandemic. However, I reckon Season 5 is going to be a bit different. Riverdale has had 4 years of kids in high school, and now everyone's going off to university. There needs to be some sort of time jump, otherwise we're basically going to get 4 completely different stories in 4 completely different locations. With everyone leaving and going separate ways, it seems like a perfect opportunity for this chapter of Riverdale to close, with these relationships closing as well, and to all start off something new. After all, Veronica is leaving to New York City, so she isn't going to be seeing much of Archie, and Jughead may not even be going anywhere, whereas Betty is. So I reckon very soon Betty is going to be the one to make it official, and we'll have to wait and see whether Archie has enough courage to actually say yes and break up with Veronica. Plus, KJ Apa, who plays Archie, basically confirmed it in an interview, saying he thinks Betty and Archie should be Endgame. So I'm afraid, for all you Bughead fans out there, it's over. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell us in the field section down below whether you think Betty and Archie are going to get together, or whether you think Betty and Jughead are going to stay together, or if you have any other relationships in Riverdale that you think is going to happen, make sure you leave them down in the comment section down below. And as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.